Hello all. Welcome to the first video I've made in a long while. Today I wanted to talk about perhaps the most niche form of wireless redstone, though it still has its uses. Bedstone. In this case, being used to trigger stasis chambers. The basic mechanism is pretty simple, just using nightlight sensors to detect when the player wakes up, or rather when night suddenly changes to day. Now, this tech is fairly old. People have been using it as a return-to-home mechanism since 1.13 when bubble columns were introduced. But, with the ability to use ender pearls for resilient chunk loading, its usefulness has been expanded a lot. Though, it's still only really viable in single player. Here's an example of a very compact return-to-home system, which no longer needs to be put into spawn chunks or have a nether portal-based chunk loader anywhere nearby. Just using this, you can travel as far as you want out into the world, and it'll keep itself loaded, and if you sleep at the right time at night, it'll return you back here seamlessly, and almost 100% reliably. It even has a built-in grace period at the beginning of the night, so you can keep sleeping on your travels without triggering it. Just put down a daylight sensor on daylight mode and a redstone dust next to it. When the dust is on, you can sleep without worry. And after it turns off, you'll be sent home. So yeah, these are pretty great, and they're super cheap to build, and you can put them anywhere in the world, so they work for most people. But they are missing out on one massive opportunity built into daylight sensors. Which leads me to what I call the SomnoRail. At nightfall, this device starts a hopper clock in the back, and every single incremental power level is a different destination. For instance, this first station. For a station I have 28 million blocks in the positive X direction, or a station I have right down there. To build one is a little bit of a heavy, daunting, overwhelming task. You start off by building this hopper clock, which allows this hopper to release its items into this hopper as soon as night falls, and vice versa as soon as sunrise. And then it goes into this red coder, any old red coder will do. And then after that, you're done. You just hook up whatever output to this station. In this case, it's a block enabling this rail, which goes into the stasis chamber. But that's it. This means that once per night, you can go to your nearest station and travel anywhere in the overworld that you built a receiver, no matter the distance. All you have to do is go to sleep as soon as that signal is the one that's lit up, which are kept in sync by merit of daylight sensors' miraculous properties. And now I'm 28 million blocks in the positive X direction. And naturally, since you can go anywhere in the overworld, you have a pretty good coverage of the nether as well. And actually, I lied. You don't have to use a station to use the system. The first 5 or so signal strengths from a daylight sensor are pretty in sync with the hopper clock. Therefore, by simply sleeping when I see the 5th redstone dust get power, I am called to the first station. The stations, or receivers for the system, can also be made relatively cheaply compared to other wireless transport solutions. No need for observer decoders or anything to that effect. Just another red coder and a daylight sensor, as will be demonstrated by this bare bones. Once again, you sleep on the light or a bit before it, as long as you actually change night to day, whilst it's the active one, and we're here. So this is a fully functional station, made to be as cheaply made as possible. This is a complete station. This is everything you need, and more actually. While the other stations have lamps indicating the power level as it increases and decreases, this one you can just reference the actual dust itself. And the other ones have red coder units for all of the other stations, but this one only cares about its own value. As you can see, not that resource intensive. Just the same hopper clock with 5 stacks of whichever item. And that's enough to get you anywhere in the world. These systems do have one major flaw, aside from being almost single-player exclusive. And that's the sky darkening for reasons other than nightfall. The hopper clock will start whether it's nighttime or rain or thunder. However, this can be mitigated by using a rain detector, which I believe Cubfan made a video for many aeons ago, but that's not implemented here, as this was meant to be nearly as simple as it gets. Naturally, as is the case with any wireless redstone system, it doesn't have to only be used to trigger stasis chambers and be a transport network. You can plug it in to toggle a mob switch, or turn a farm on and off, or control gadgets within your base. You could even plug it in to deactivate itself. If you relegated an option to be a turn-off system rather than a station, then every single station can receive that signal and inhibit its ability to interact with its own stasis chamber, which means that you could sleep in peace without worrying about if you're going to hit one of the timings. Which, again, is not implemented here, but can't be too difficult. That's just about everything I have about this machine, but if you're just looking for a general wireless transport solution that actually works in multiplayer maybe, then I do have a list. First off, Cubic Meter and 2No2Name's item-based systems. Cubic Meter does an excellent job at visualizing and explaining the mechanics, and 2No2Name miniaturized the setup until it is easily made in survival. It's an excellent option if you want many people to have access to a massive number of stations, though it is perhaps the most build intensive. It is a lot of decoding and big machines doing precise item drops and managing tens of thousands of channels of information if need be. So it's a large task, but very well worth it. The second item on the list is Squibble's new Breeze Charge remote ownership system. It's brand new, it's ridiculously effective, it can be used across dimensions with no limits, and the principle is a simple little game mechanic that we've all experienced from gas fireballs, where they go the direction you're facing, not the direction you hit them. It doesn't scale well for multiplayer. You'd have to build an entire, fairly large chamber for every single person at every single location, but if you're just looking to transport yourself around the world on a multiplayer world, that might be the best option for you. Last is Hyperlinks. No channels, no wireless redstone, just abusing the game's portal mechanics to their limits. It requires having end portal frames as items, and using falling block nether portals in the end. Honestly, this one's only here because I wish more people knew about it. If you ever build it in survival, let me know. You will have been the first to do it. You can find the links to these systems down below. I hope this video has helped you choose or understand your options for instantaneous multi-dimensional travel. Thanks for watching.